Hello, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope everybody's had a good bank holiday. Some of us had to graft away at work. I was one of them, as ever. Kenny, how are you, mate? You well? How was your day at work?
A short one. It was good. Chucked it about 3 o'clock, mate, 3:15. Got up the road, had my dinner, and did a big pile of stuff for you. So, yeah. Well done, mate.
Pile of stuff for me. Exaggeration. Davey, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm good, thanks. When you've been retired as long as me, you don't know when bank holidays even happen, to be honest with you. Every day's a holiday for me. Yeah, good to be here. And 2 Mondays in a row after a win, I could get used to that.
Yeah, it's certainly better than the alternative, that's for sure. Davey, we were on last night, so we kind of discussed the game. How do you think it went yesterday?
I suppose there was a half-hour period in the first half which was as good as anything that there's been domestically this season. It's a pretty low bar, so I'm not going to get overly massively excited about it. But we actually did create a couple of chances for open play. We scored a goal for open play. We could have scored a couple more. Although I do think we're creating most of our chances for set pieces still. Corners, free kicks, that was where all it came from in the first half. Second half, we were absolutely awful. We were dreadful. I did think that, I'm going to throw a refereeing thing in right at the start. I did think the Livingston right back should have been sent off when it was 1-0. He was on a booking and he absolutely halved Kasama out in the touchline. I've got no idea why he wasn't sent off. And at that time, the game was starting to run away from us, and that could have made a difference. But Livingston got back into it because we stopped playing, basically. We stopped trying to do the right things. We stopped getting the ball forward. We started farting about again. But I suppose the main positive for me is that we came back from the setback with 20 minutes to go and then got it right again, put players forward, got the ball into the box more often, created chances again, and scored after, 92, 93 minutes, which most supporters would celebrate. Unfortunately, with the atmosphere we now have around about our club, some supporters still couldn't even celebrate that. But it's a win, and we were all complaining that we hadn't won games, so I think we should take the 3 points. Livingston's never an easy place to go to, so the result is the most important thing we've been saying for weeks. So let's say the result was a good one.
Kenny, on reflection, we obviously had our say last night, but over 24 hours on, what is your feelings on yesterday?
A win's a win, Stevie. We take it and we move on. Big game on Thursday. We need to really win that. So, and then another massive game on Sunday, obviously, thereafter, that we have to win. But I pretty much still feel the same way. First half was decent without being outstanding. Second half, just nowhere near good enough. And he has to throw the kitchen sink at it. So, and we get the win, which I think, looking back, we did deserve to win the game. We created a lot of chances, or way more chances than they did. But it is still concerning that, it's far too easy to score against us. It's a simple ball in, defending's atrocious. And we are literally, as I say, lobbing everything at it to try and get that win. And as I explained last night, the explosion of emotion from Russell Martin when that goal went in shows you how much pressure everybody's under, Stevie.
Yeah, it does, and we're going to talk about that. But we've kind of went over the individual moments last night. Goal was good. The goal we conceded was horrendous. The goal that won it is one of those ones where we haven't been scoring, and we need to make those more regular if we're going to become in any way successful, which feels a long way away. Why was the drop-off so big from the first half to the second half? Because, once again, big issues, slow start, really slow start. So it takes us 10 minutes to get going. We score. It takes us another 10 minutes to go up that level. And then for 20 minutes, I agree, we're good. I don't agree with what he said about us being outstanding at times. I think that's a wild use of a word when nobody's really going to accept that, Davey, because it's been so poor. So I think you need to try and be balanced a bit with that. And I don't think outstanding is the right word, but I do agree we did play some good football. There were some really good moves. The one where Barron nearly scored was excellent. So you can say for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we had a really good spell. I'm with you, probably the best we have seen domestically so far. But then the second half, we start like we have just turned up for a game of football and we'd never met before. And the drop-off is massive. Why is it like that?
Oh, it is a good question. I do think, if I go back to the first half just for a little minute, while I agree we did play better, I thought Barron played really well in midfield in the first half, which I thought was important, the way we were playing. Him and Raskin together played reasonably well. I still think there's a bit of a problem in terms of creativity just behind Majowski. There's no doubt Asgard must be a player. I mean, he's a Norwegian international. He's got a tremendous reputation. He scores goals at international level. I don't know whether we're just not using him right or whether he just hasn't settled into a Rangers jersey yet. But that position, that most attacking position of the three midfield players, is one we just haven't got right at all. And I think when you add to the fact that the wingers are really important, and I still don't think any winger other than Gassama has shown that he can regularly beat a fullback, then we're not creating the number of chances that our possession should create. Some of that's because of the speed of play, but I think also some of that's because the creative players in the team aren't quite clicking just yet. But when it comes to the second half, I don't know what caused it. I've got absolutely no idea, but we just seem to go back into this slow, safe shell that we've gone into far too often. We stopped playing the ball forward more quickly. We started trying to keep the ball in their own half more. What was 2 passes in the first half was 10 passes in the second half. We ended up getting dispossessed in places we shouldn't get dispossessed. And we put ourselves under pressure. And then the atmosphere changes in the crowd. Then, what was it Russell Martin keeps calling it? Anxiety. We start getting anxious. So we give ourselves our own problems a lot of the time by approaching games the wrong way. And the second half was a perfect example of it. I wish I could say that I could put my finger on what caused something like that. I can't believe the manager would have got in at half time and said, let's go back to let's go back to that again. I can't believe they'd have done that. But for whatever it is, we seem to have a team who go into their shell far too easily and who go into safe mode far too often. And when that happens, it just gives inferior opposition the chance to put us under pressure.
Hey, so here's the thing, Kenny. I've thought about this long and hard today. Not while I was at work, may I add, because I'm a consummate professional. But why the drop-off is so big is confusing to me, because Davie's right. Passes that we were being brave on the ball, we were using it with care, to use Russell Martin's phrase, and then we just stopped. And we actually started putting ourselves in danger by the quality of passes we were given, especially from the centre-backs. Jack Butland lost his way in goals with his distribution, and it slowed massively. Are we asking them to do things that they're not capable of playing this way? Because let's be honest, no team really plays this way in the world. Barcelona kind of mastered it. Man City were good at it. Arguably, this system is massively difficult to perfect. So are we asking them to do things they can't do? Because the way we try and play it out from the pass, back from a goal kick, it seems to be easily nullified by the defence. Now, Livingston got it and they pressed properly yesterday. And that was just with Stevie May doing it. We've seen what Genk could do to us and the amount of chances they create. We need to remember Livingston have just came up and promoted, so we can't get up nor down or too much regarding the performance yesterday. That's why I'm trying to say about 20 minutes, etc. But the bigger picture for me is, are we asking them to do things that they can't do? Or are the players underperforming to what the manager expects them? Or is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's probably a little bit of both. It's a good question, because you could turn around and say that what I noticed in the first half, when we looked pretty decent in the first half, was that Livingston weren't particularly pressing very hard, and in the second half they pressed right up the pitch. They were standing off us an awful lot in the first half and letting us look half decent and pretty, I thought. Certainly in the midfield, they didn't overly engage where they did in the second half, and I think that is where it started to break down, where we mentioned it last night, right from the kick-off, basically, the ball's on our left-hand side, and 3 or 4 times we're trying to get out, we can't play it out. It was going from Magoma to Asgard to Gassama, and they just couldn't get it moving at all. And it gave Livingston all the encouragement they needed because they were pressing so tight and so quickly. So, do I believe this system is a way to play in Scotland? No, I don't. And we've been very consistent on this, Stevie. I don't think it is, because what you are asking them to do is leave gaps that are so massive at times that it's too easy to play through this system. It's something we've mentioned on here many times, that it is harder to play this system than it is to play against it if you don't have the quality of player to do it. And I think that's where it's coming, being realistic about it. I think that's where a lot of our errors are coming from. You're buying 2, 3, 4, 5 million pound players, and that's what you get. And it's hard to fill your team full of 20, 30, 40 million pound players and play this way. We see it in the Premier League in England. Look at Graham Potter's just lost his job, and he tries to play a kind of similar style. And it takes, and I'm going to try and be fair, it takes a long time to perfect this. And it's something that no Rangers manager or head coach is ever going to get, is huge amounts of time. So for me, it's probably a combination of, do we really have the quality? I don't think so. But again, what I quickly here, what I'll try and say is that...
Well, Kenny, they're professional footballers, right? Should be able to pass it 5 yards to a guy in blue. They should be able to turn. They should be able to use it better. They should be able to do better than what they're currently producing. We can lump all the blame in the world on Russell Martin, and I think we've lumped a fair share on him, right? If you look at it a bit more objectively, what's happened to Jerry Gassama? What's happened to Oliver Antman? Why have they stopped beating their men? It doesn't stop Tello Asgard from accelerating out of first gear. These are things that, should be happening regardless of what's happening in the dugout. So it's a wee bit more to me than you can say that we're asking them to do too much. And I think that's probably right. I think the style and things are, but are they getting disheartened? Are they switching off? Are they simply stopped playing because they don't believe in it? Which is, I get, that could be an argument. See, regardless of all that, should be able to do more. They're professional footballers.
They shouldn't be getting disheartened at half time. Yesterday, Stevie, that's probably the best 25 minutes they managed to put together all season. So they should have walked in really quite pleased with them. I'm not saying pleased with themselves. I don't want people to take that the wrong way, but they should have walked in as a team, as individuals, and went, that was all right. Go and kill this off. And for whatever reason, they stopped completely. And this is what I was going to say there, that Russell Martin keeps talking about how we have to be braver. And I think that's where the issue for me is coming from. That, I think being brave is all very good and well, but we've seen this over the years, Stevie. Being brave as a Rangers player isn't just about playing a dangerous pass or making a dangerous move. Being brave is about everything, and not just passing a ball. And this is where I feel that the confidence levels in this team are so low for a number of different reasons. I don't believe that the results are helping. I don't believe they're buying into what Russell Martin's asking them to do, because it is so difficult. And if they were all at NK Dons or Southampton or whatever, they'd get all the time in the world to formulate this perfection that he's looking for, but he's just not going to get it here, because that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, Stevie. I'm just looking at it and saying from the question that you've asked me, I can see both sides of that. I do think Russell Martin's got to take a huge amount of responsibility, but I do think the players are underperforming. But I think there's factors to that. And I don't believe he's got the buy-in that all of a sudden over the last few days he keeps talking about. The players are really trying for each other. I don't think they are. At times, I think we could see it in the Gent game on Thursday. They are not all committed, because when it's not going their way, the heads are dropping and the confidence is not there and the commitment is not 100%, Stevie. It's clear.
Davie, it's a difficult question to answer, but how much lies with the things that they're being asked to do, and how much lies at the feet of the players who are underperforming? Why are they underperforming?
So, in my head, this talk about brave football. I think brave football is doing the unexpected and doing something that nobody sees coming. I think we're the opposite of brave. I think we're trying to be too systematic. I think we're trying to be too robotic almost. There's your position and stick to it. I think Asgard's a great example. Is the example for me. I watched him playing some international football not long ago, and it looked to me as if he was just given license to just get in the box when he could. Try the unexpected. Got up there and just play naturally. And I don't think we've got players told do what you're best at. I think we've got players getting told, here's the system, here's what you do in that position. Go and do that and don't do anything else. And I think we've stifled them. I think we've got better players than we're showing. I think Ant-Man's a tremendous example for me. The first time he played, he hadn't had any coaching sessions at Ibrox before he played his first game. And he looked like a really exciting winger that took fullbacks on the outside, hit the byline and got the ball over. The last twice I've seen him, he's done nothing but cut inside. And I can't believe that's what he wants to do. He's actually gone onto his wrong foot to do it. It's almost as if he's been told, your role in that right-hand side is to come inside all the time. Even though I don't think it's what he's best at. I think we need to give flair players, and we have got a few flair players in that squad, give them the license to actually be flair players instead of being robots.
Interesting question, but it leads me to another discussion. And again, it's difficult because where are we on this recruitment in the summer? Because I watched Bojan Majowski for Aberdeen and thought that when we signed him, right, he'll be okay, he'll be good. But I was worried about him in this system because I don't believe for a second we're getting the best or anywhere close to it. Again, yesterday, I think he had 20 odd touches, which is, he's not in a game. What's happened to Oliver Ant-Man? Jerry Gassama's now living on early season form and he's struggling. He's not taking his man. He's not doing. Ant-Man's not cutting inside constantly. Why isn't he trying to beat his man on the right hand side? We've seen what's happened to Max Aarons. Giga's fallen right off the radar as well. Mikey Moore's struggling big time to get into it. So, Chermiti, we need to give him time. Joe Rothwell, we've seen the kind of reaction he's got. Players are in and out. So at what point do we question recruitment? Because there's been a lot of comments, right, saying this isn't all Russell Martin and we're very anti-Russell Martin and we blame everything on him, which I don't necessarily feel is fair. But at what point do you begin to question the recruitment, or do we look at the recruitment and say this is because of the system and because of the manager? It's a difficult one, Davie, because nobody has the answer to this. But at present, I would be inclined to think that recruitment doesn't look great, because they've still not addressed the spine of the team, which is so soft, which is why Livingston, when they do go in pressure, or Genk or Hearts or whoever it is, when they get a grip of the game and go for our throat a wee bit, we can't handle it. And when teams swamp us and press, there's nobody that can kind of settle everybody down. So where does this lie? If we're adamant that Russell Martin's the worst head coach going and everything else, what does it say about the recruitment of the players that he's asking to do things?
I don't think you can get away from the fact that the recruitment does sit behind quite a few of our problems. Think back to the summer, I suppose, before Martin came in, before the new recruitment team came in. What were we all saying? We were all saying that there needs to be a new leadership group at Ibrox. There needs to be a new spine of the team at Ibrox. There needs to be a clear out in the dressing room, etc., etc. What is the leadership group now? Who are the leaders in that team now? It's probably still...
Well, the leadership group...
Avenir, Suter, Butland, Raskin, it's the same ones.
No, it's not. The leadership group is James Tavernier, John Suter, Liam Kelly and Kieran Dowell.
I don't even know if I can say what I think of that.
It is genuinely, that's your four in the leadership group.
So, well, you maybe have made my point even better than I could have made it then. Well, because what I was trying to say was that we thought we needed an injection of new leadership in that dressing room, as well as new faces. We needed leaders who weren't scarred by the past, who could take us forward. If I go back, I hate going back to previous times, but if I look at, for example, when Gerrard came in, he brought guys in like Scott Arfield, he brought in guys like Defoe, he brought in guys like Connor Goldson, Alan McGregor, players who, young developing players could both learn from on the pitch and learn from in the dressing room. And I'm not convinced that we've done anything to resolve the whole leadership part of the equation when it comes to building a team. You can build as much potential as you want, but I think winning teams need to have this hate losing mentality, this mentality of being able to handle the team that you play for. And playing for Rangers, it takes a lot of handling, and I just don't know if we still have missed out in a key part of what team building is, because teams need effective leaders, and I'm still not convinced that we've got them. So yes, I think recruitment needs to have the light shone on it still as being lacking. 14 new players, we weren't going to get them all right. Nobody ever buys 14 players and all 14 of them hit the ground running. So it was never going to be that all of them were going to be stars from day one. And I do think we have brought in a few what look like decent players if they had the right structure around about them in the dressing room. I'm not convinced they have. And that's before I get to coaching, because I do think coaching's a massive part of it as well. I do think we're too robotic. We're too set in a system of play that I don't think will ever work in Scottish football. But there's two sides to that equation, and I think both of them need addressed.
Kenny, John asked this better than I could probably ask you, because I would have taken about 14 minutes to ask you this very question. How many of these players pass the eye test that McCoy's rightly talked about?
Not many at the minute, but to go back to what Davie was saying there about, us having signed some good players. Statistically, last season, some of these players were off the charts. Oliver Antman was off the charts. Taylor Asgard was off the charts. You look at Miovski, had a poor season last season, but the 2 seasons previous scored 60 goals. You look at Giga, played in the Champions League last year, can't get a game for us at the moment, which is nonsense, in my opinion. There's something not right here. So that, for me, you look at Tello Asgard again, went away in international duty last month, scored 4 goals in 20-odd minutes. Obviously, the Norwegian manager is playing him in the most natural way that he wants to play, when he can get himself in the 6-yard box 3 times in the space of 10 minutes. I mean, it's so how many times have we seen Taylor Asgard in the 6-yard box? Not often. We haven't seen anybody in the 6-yard box very often, and that's where, for me, this is a system issue, and it is for me. It has to be. However, the recruitment and the system are meant to go hand in hand. And are they going hand in hand? Have we bought the right players to play this system? That's the question I would ask. That's where I would be very, very concerned if I was Kevin Thelwell about keeping a head coach that you have went and spent £30-odd million on building a squad for. Meanwhile, and this guy can't has been struggling to get results for you. Meanwhile, your spine, or the most, I will not even use the term spine of the team, I would say the most influential players in this team so far this season, if you look at it, have been Jack Butland, who saved us some severe tankings, James Tavernier, who he tried to replace with Max Aarons right away, clearly not at this minute in time anywhere near the level that a 33-year-old shot to bits James Tavernier is. The midfield, it's been Nico Raskin and Mo Diamandi that have been the most influential in there. Even Connor Barron's come in and done well. And the situation with the wide men, the right hand side with Oliver Antman at this minute in time is not as strong as it was last year with Cherny, who hit the ground. It took him a few weeks, but he hit the ground reasonably well and started to run pretty well. So I feel that this is a kind of combination of both here, and I think that's the issue. And I just feel that when you're asking the question, how many of them are passing the eye test? None of them. None of them are passing the eye test at the minute, are they, Stevie? And I'm not trying to be harsh on it. I think Nico Raskin looked good a couple of weeks ago against Hibs, or last week against Hibs. We've had a few individual half-decent performances, but not very many have looked like, oh wow, we've signed an absolute topper here at all. And that for me is where the system is clearly flawed.
Davie, who's passed the eye test for you so far in recruitment?
Probably the first name I would come up with was the left back. I think Magoma has surpassed what I was expecting by quite a distance. And it's probably just the way it has, considering he's probably the only left back that we've got at the moment. But I think he's done really well. Gassama, I still think I would give pass marks to at this point in time. Although I think the goals have dried up. He looked like a goal scoring winger in the first few games, where he's had too many shots at goal in the last few games. But probably those two stand out most for me. There's not too many others. Not yet, I don't think. The other ones that it's just little bits and pieces. You think, oh, there's a player in there, but he's just not shown it yet. But no, I don't think there's any. Cornelius, maybe. I think Cornelius might be okay. I think he looks like an experienced centre back, and because he's left sided, I think he'll play almost every week. So I think he's probably all right. Other than those three, I don't think MD yet can say that they've justified the price tags.
Okay, so here's my input. I won't make it a 7-minute monologue like I did on Friday night, but I don't think any of them pass the eye test yet. I don't think any of them have proved themselves yet. I think we've saw in flashes that Gassama can be a good player. We've saw in flashes that Meghoma can be a good player. We've saw in flashes that Cornelius maybe will be okay. We've wasted a hell of a lot of money on Fernandez, on Chermiti, spent a lot on Antman and Miovski and not really see anything yet. So I don't think that is viable to even look at recruitment yet and say it's successful, because that amount of people coming in was never going to be easy. But Rangers did something that was ridiculously stupid, and they failed to address it, even despite the fact that they were warned and given that advice, and a lot of people told them this team needed a spine, it needed leadership, it needed a six, it needed a centre back that was dominating, it needed real experience in there to try and knit everything together. And at the moment, it looks like it's a bunch of individuals who, by the way, are probably all pretty good players. Oliver Antman doesn't get those numbers in Holland because he's not a good player. Gassama, highly rated at Sheffield Wednesday. Mikey Moore, apparent wonder kid. All these guys look like they're playing as a bunch of individuals for me at the moment. Miovski's not great getting chances. He's more or less creating them himself. Things like that all add up for me. Cornelius, I'm with Kenny, looks all right. And Meghoma looks okay. Max Aarons, not played. Joe Rothwell, not played. Giga, not played for us to the levels we want them to. Because there's nobody in that 11 when you try and knit in so many individuals into it that is a leader. You don't have a spine there. You don't have character. You don't have the guys that, by the way, see when Bruges score after 2 minutes, you don't have the guy that says, right, boys, that's a ball ache. Sit in, defend this lead, defend where we are, in the game, and play your way back into it at 1-0. And at that point, we just we get lost and we sink. Bruges away, we sink. And yes, there's 10 men and stuff like that. Yesterday, even when Stevie May has that shot and Butland has to make the save, there's nobody out there like a captain's voice to just say, right, calm down, keep the ball for 5 minutes, play our way back into it, and off we go again. There's nobody capable of that. There's nobody with the stature at the back. There's nobody with the leadership. We have guys with experience, but there's no leadership in there at all. John Souttar's not an experienced leader for me. John Souttar has experience as a footballer, but not as a leader. He's quiet as a mouse. He doesn't lead in that spine of the team. Every Rangers successful team has a spine or a quality player down the middle. We don't. We're as soft as shit. And that's why when teams pressure us, and I don't even mean pressure as in peppering the goal with shots. I mean press us high and press us on the ball, we collapse. And Livy showed you yesterday how easy it is to spook. We get spooked so easily as a team and as an 11, Davie. And that's how I see it. That lack of proper recruitment in the key areas, like the spine of your team where you need experience, you need ball winners. Guys, that's why we were looking at Gogic saying he would have been good for us, because we don't even have somebody of that level in the team. And I'm not saying he's a wonderful player, but that leadership, we don't have that. We don't have anyone that would take a foul 40 yards from goal and regroup the players the way he did against us when we were starting to look likely at one each. We don't have anybody capable of doing that. And that to me is the biggest failing, because, by the way, Tello Asgard, Miovski, Chermiti, Moore, Ant-Man, Gassama, all these boys individually are probably cracking players. Put them into us and we're just 11 individuals.
Yeah, I just think you've articulated what I was trying to say better than I did. I think it's actually just as simple as that. The likes of Balogun we had last season, for example, he was past it, but he was a leader. He was somebody who other players listened to. He wasn't just experienced. And I think you've just hit a nail on the head there when you say there's a difference between experience and leadership. So, for example, Rothwell's an experienced player, but Rothwell will never be a leader in that midfield. I think he's actually might be not a bad number 8. I think he might be quite good there. I thought he's looked quite good the last couple of times he's come on against.
What do you mean? Do you mean where he played for Leeds and was good?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Because I actually think the position Asgard's playing, if we're going to be so rigid, Rothwell might as well play there, because I think he'd be better there. But going back to this whole leadership thing, that's what I was trying to say earlier on. I think there's a difference between experience and leadership, but we need a bit of both. For me, we needed a bit of both. And I thought in the rebuild in the summer, we would bring in our equivalents of Scott Arfield, our equivalent of Jermaine Defoe. I thought we'd have done that. In amongst all these 14 new players, I thought we would have seen that 2 or 3 old heads coming in that had seen it all before and understood the club and understood the demands and could pass on experience, their knowledge to the younger ones. And for me, that was just something that was missed completely. And we keep talking about developing players and player trading models and all that sort of good stuff. The way to get these young players to be worth an absolute fortune is getting them in a winning team, get them with lots of medals in their pockets. And the best way of doing that is putting them in a team with winners and leaders beside them.
Kenny, the only one that they went for that I can remember in the summer, and we were linked with so many players, was Connor Cody. If that was the extent of us trying to tackle that particular issue and the weakness in the spine of our team, that's surely an issue for Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy and those above Russell Martin that identify the players and everything else. Because Russell Martin's a head coach, so how much do we believe? They said it was a group decision and they said they were all doing it. But I genuinely believe the recruitment has looked like and is individual players bought into a system which has no cornerstone to it. Every system, even, when Dick Advocaat came, he had key players throughout it. You had Moore, you had Barry Ferguson, etc. We were lucky they were there. But he bought in leaders. He bought in people like Arthur Newman, proper experience, proper leaders on the pitch. Alex McLeish had Amo, he had Moore, etc. there. He could build around it. I get that. Stephen Gerrard bought Goldson straight away. He was his first key big player. He said, "You're going to be the rock that everything else is built around." Then he got Jack, Jack was rather, he got Kamara, he got Stephen Davis, and he built round these positions. We bought nothing like that. And the more I watch it and the more I think about things, the more I believe that we lack those cornerstones in our team that we can build around and mix and match. And at the moment, it very much looks like a bunch of individuals that have collectively been put together. And I honestly believe that that's a major issue in our team.
Quite a young group of individuals as well. When you look at the signings, the average age must be about 23 or something like that. And that, again, I would just go back to the summer and, the three of us and everybody else and four lads would have been saying exactly the same thing. I know you and I certainly did, Stevie, when we were talking through the summer, and we said we needed a very experienced number 6. It was absolutely essential for somebody to lead that midfield. We needed a centre half that was a leader that could organise that back four. We've seen the goal yesterday. You've seen set pieces yesterday. That we are not organised. We don't have somebody that will quite literally take you by the shirt and say, "Man up, mark up, don't do it again." That's what we need, and it's crying out for it. Luke de Jong was somebody that we were getting linked with. I have no idea if we were talking to the boy or not, but that's exactly the type of guy that I would have loved to have seen at Rangers up front to lead our line. A tremendous player, 35 years of age. Yeah, you'd still do for a couple of years. That's the type of situation that has been glaringly ignored. And it's tantamount to neglect, actually, now that you see these, this group of young boys. And okay, you've got Tavernier and Butland there. You've got Rothwell, who's 30. But there's not a lot of leaders in that team at all, as you say. There's not a lot of experience. Tavernier is he's the Rangers captain, but he's a different type of captain. I believe a lot of what he does that's appreciated is behind the scenes, which is fine. But this is the problem when it comes to recruitment, that the spine's not been addressed at all. The spine of the team hasn't been addressed. We need leaders of men. We need men, not boys, in those positions at Rangers. I'm concerned about Thelwell's thinking on that. However, even more when you look to this point next season and you look at the loan signings and you look at the back four and you basically look at there's just loans everywhere. So this, all of this is going to need addressed in January and next summer. And this is now a 3-4 window situation. And I don't know if they've front loaded a lot of this money this summer or not. I don't know how much money is going to keep coming in, but this is a problem for Rangers because I'll reiterate again, we need a proper centre half that's going to lead the defence. We need a proper number 6 that's going to run that midfield, and we need a proper centre forward that's going to lead the line properly. The centre forward one's slightly different because we can't get our number 9 anywhere near the ball anyway. So we're going to have to fix that first before we look at it. But signing somebody like Chermiti for 10 million quid when he's barely played professional football is just mind-boggling when you consider what we actually needed.
Chermiti might have been, here's the thing, Chermiti, Asgard, etc., all might have been okay if you'd addressed the major issues first, and I don't think we have. I don't think you've addressed that lack of leadership, that experience, that good old fashioned kind of know-how. I just don't think they've done it. I don't think there's enough seasoned pros in there at all, which is my biggest thing. Let's move on from that. We will keep revisiting it, no doubt. But we need to talk about the fans yesterday as being a major talking point throughout. I was there yesterday. I've been at all the league games so far this season. Difficult one. We all seen the footage of what happened when the team got off the bus. The fans are giving the players a kind of rapturous applause. Russell Martin comes out and it's completely toxic. The booing is heavy. Chants begin during the game. Rangers, I think, go 1-0 up. The chance against Russell Martin starts again. And then as soon as something negative happens, the atmosphere is poisonous. It's literally toxic. And the chanting starts again. Even when Rangers score, the chanting continues. So it's really difficult. Russell Martin goes straight down the tunnel at full time. Would you go out to applaud that? I'm not going to criticise him at all for going down the tunnel. So there's two ways to look at this. The fans have every single right to express that, and I understand it completely. There's the other way to look at it and say that what it is creating is a toxic and hostile environment that's not helping anybody. And that's been a point put across several times, and it's not helping the players. It's certainly not helping Martin, or it's not helping the dugout. I'm of the opinion that once the fans go, you're never really going to change that. I think Martin's got balls for sticking it out, because lesser people would have said, I'm off. I can't turn this. I'm never going to fix it. And I'm not sure he ever can turn this or fix it without going in an incredible run of domestic and European form. But where do we look at ourselves as a support and think this has gone too far, or it's too much? Because I've seen some clips online and stuff. There was a TikTok video made by somebody, and some of the comments about Russell Martin were pretty grim, I must admit. And I've had a pop at him, and I'll not shy away from that. I don't think he should be Rangers manager. I don't think he should be continuing. I think it was the wrong appointment. And that to me is fine. When you're sitting calling somebody some of the things I've seen, I don't think that's right. And I don't think as a Rangers head coach that should happen. Just my opinion on it. So where do we go from here? Because this is at a level now where even when we're winning, that's going to keep happening. Davie, what do you make of this situation we're in? This is the most toxic I have ever seen towards anyone at Rangers Football Club for a sustained period now. Certainly manager, head coach wise, whenever it's got this, it's very quickly fixed. And this isn't going to be fixed. And I said during the summer, they will not buckle, they will not change. And it looks like, for all intensive purposes, they're not. So what's the end game here for the support? Because if this isn't going to change, what's the next steps? Where does it go in the level of where we're heading at this moment in time?
Yeah, I can go back a bit further than you can, Stevie. And yeah, there's absolutely no doubt this is, by quite a considerable distance, the most hostility I've ever seen towards any Rangers manager ever. Let's be honest about this. There's loads of supporters who, from day one, didn't want him. Now, I think it's fair to say that I'm one of these people who think he will end up getting sacked. I think he's the wrong manager. I think he's got the wrong approach to the job. I think he'll lose more games in the near future, because I don't think he's got a team that's going to win and run, and it will come to a head eventually. But I do think we have now got a core in our support who have decided that on match day, it's more important to them to abuse the manager than it is to actually watch the game and support the team during it. Now that's pretty sad for me. In fact, I found it utterly ridiculous yesterday. Ridiculous that we score a 93rd minute winner to win our first game of the season in the league, and we can't celebrate for more than 30 seconds before we decide we want to abuse the manager again. I find that scandalous, to be quite honest with you. And I'm going to give you a little comparison. So we appointed a manager in 2017 who was never up to the job, who was completely the wrong man for Rangers. That was Pedro Caixinha. He wasn't in the job that long, and he played against Celtic twice in a week. They beat us at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi-final. We never laid a glove on them. And then they beat us 5-1 at Ibrox. The worst home defeat to Celtic in our entire history. The following week, we went to Partick Thistle and we scored a 94th minute winner that day to win 2-1, just like we did yesterday. And the fans were all cuddling him. There was fans all jumping over the little wall at Partick and cuddling the manager and all kinds of stuff. He was never a Rangers manager. He was never somebody that was going to succeed. He was totally out of his depth. But he never got that level of, it's hatred. I'm not going to call it anything else. Russell Martin is receiving now a level of hatred that I'm feeling really uncomfortable with. Do I want him in the job? No, I don't. Do I think he's the right man for Rangers? No, I don't. Do I think we should be making a change? Yes. But I'm really uncomfortable now with. I think we've got a core of supporters who are now actually, some of them are actually saying they'd rather Rangers lost so that Martin gets sacked. That's just absolutely scandalous. But Rangers fans, for crying out loud, yes, he'll go anyway because we'll end up losing games. But we're taking it too far, and I genuinely think some folk need to rein it in.
Kenny, it's never going to be a popular discussion because everything's so channeled to get Russell Martin out of this football club. So there's some who think it's not enough. There's some who think it's more than enough. There's some that believe that no matter what, we need to drive him out of this football club. I think fans have got a right to do whatever they want. I've never seen it at this level before. It's a hell of uncomfortable to be in. And that's not to say that they shouldn't express themselves. But how do you talk about this? Fans have got the right to express themselves. Davie has been watching Rangers for a very long time and has never seen this situation. I've never seen it. I've been going to games 30 odd years. This level of hatred, as Davie calls it, and I think that's probably right, is unprecedented. How does he get through this? How does he stick it out? How do the fans turn? Because even if he goes on a 10-game run where he gets some fabulous results, even if he beats them at Hampden and takes us to a final, one defeat and it's straight back. How do you, as a football club, how do we live with that? How do you navigate through it? Because there's some people, even in the comments, who are like, we don't care, this is get him out of our club, he's caused all this, etc., etc. That's never really going to change. So that level of toxicity yesterday will continue. So how do we have the conversation about where we're overstepping or where we're taking it too far? Or is it now just a case of it's him that's causing this, so we're entitled to go as far as we want because it's justified? He's a Rangers head coach.
I don't think it's him that's causing this any more than his higher ups, Stevie. I'm going to go on a wee bit of a rant with this because the Rangers Football Club has a duty of care to all of its employees, and when you get to this situation where, and I'm going to lay it down in a kind of simple business sense here, when your customer base is telling you that there is a proper issue, a genuine issue amongst all of your customer base, forgetting it's a fan base, just as a business at this moment in time, as a business with a duty of care to and a responsibility to your employees, you get to the point where I think a lot of this has came from the fact that people knew, and we called this after the Bruges game, he should have been let go then. He should have been let go after the Hearts game when you've got an international break. This is a perfect time to do it. Results, performances, shape, everything about the team. And yesterday's result glosses over nothing in this, by the way. That's the way I see it. We've sneaked a 2-1 in a tough venue. Livingston's always a hard place to go. And nobody's taking any credit away for us, Mark, for going there and getting a 2-1 win. The issue is now a situation where I think when you see an away support do that, you're done. Right, you're absolutely done. They, as I said last night, they're your hardcore. They are the real hardcore of your support. They go home and away. They travel the team across the country and across the continent. And when they're telling you we're not having him, then it comes down to Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, and Andrew Kavanagh, and the fact that they are digging their heels in and actually turning around and saying to the supporters, who are your customer base, they're the ones that are turning around and saying, we don't care what you say, then that's why this is happening. And I think it's just going to continue to happen. And that's my worry. And I don't want Russell Martin to remain in the job any more than you or Davie have already said. I don't think it's going to work long term. It's certainly not working short term. But the issue is, for me, it's now this is a human issue. It's inhumane what's going on here. That's not normal behaviour when you score a winner after 93, 94 minutes, and the only thing that's on your mind is to turn around and abuse another human being. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that that's where the fan base is at. That's where your problem is as a football club, that you're telling your supporter base and your customer base that you know better than them, and you're wrong, because nobody's ever going to know Rangers better than the supporters. And that's the absolute crux of the problem that they have at this minute in time, that they are putting all their chips in. They're going all in on this and saying Russell Martin's a guy that's going to sort this, when the fan base knows he isn't going to sort this. We, as you say, between us here, 30, 50, we've got 100 years experience of Rangers here. And you honestly try to tell us that we don't know what we're talking about?
And that's just you on your own.
Hi, cheers, mate. But the point is, Stevie, that I don't like it and I don't agree with it when that happens. But if you pay your money, you've got the right to do it, because it's not violent, it's not breaking the law. And this is where the club has left the supporters. And as I say, as a business, Rangers as a business, they have a serious issue with this, because this is beyond toxic. And the only way to deal with it is to turn around and listen to your customer base as a company and say, actually, we better make a change. It's almost like, remember the old Gerard Ratner thing? It's actually becoming a little bit like that, if you remember that. But all I do is sell crap. And that's kind of what they're telling us. Yeah, it's crap, but it will be better. Well, we're not believing you. And that's kind of where I feel. I said to you last night, Stevie, that I thank God I wasn't at that game yesterday, because I would not have known what to have done. I just sat there speechless when the goal went in. And as I said, I jumped off my seat celebrating the goal, sat down, and couldn't believe my ears. So sorry for the rant. I just feel that when you actually relay the whole situation here, I don't even think it's necessarily down to Russell Martin now. I think it's down to Patrick Stewart and his indignance towards us. I actually think that's what it is.
Davie, anything else to add to this?
No. I'll say again, I think Russell Martin should have been removed already. I think he's the wrong man for the job. I think he's arrogant, yes. Do I think that he's in the wrong movie completely? Yes. Do I think he's a bit disrespectful to our supporters? Yes. But at the same time, if you can't, for 2 minutes, celebrate a winning goal in the 93rd minute when your football team scores it, there's something not quite right there. Yeah, go back home and call for the manager to get sacked again for just 2 minutes. Just why not just enjoy your team winning a game? That's all I'm saying. Yes, he has to go, but I just feel as if some people that's all they're existing for at the moment, is wanting to shout and swear about Russell Martin. Enjoy the football when you score goals, at least. That's all I'm saying.
Never an easy subject because there's so much in this. There's so much feeling towards Russell Martin that I've never experienced. All of us on this podcast have expressed tonight that we do not think that he should be in the job, and there's good reason for that. Let's not sugarcoat what's went on this season. The football's been absolutely dire. It's been diabolical. The individuals underperforming. We've seen some of the worst performances in a very long time, and by the way, that's a pretty high bar considering some of the shite we've watched in previous years, and he's somehow managed to get past that and go some lengths. We've seen players physically give up. We've had a horrendous start to the league which hasn't been matched, and you have to go back to 1978. So there's valid reasons for why the fans are reacting the way they are. We can argue all night and day about if the levels are right and if it's too much, and if booing them and telling them to get the fuck is too much. The fans have got a right. And the moment, and this is where it becomes a bit interesting for me, because my point of view has always been the moment that we accept second place is the moment we may as well chuck it. And that's the way I was brought up. Rangers have to win, and they have to win every single time. The fans have seen this movie 100 times already. And even in their some short lives and everything else, that this is a repeating theme at Rangers Football Club. We're appointing the wrong people and putting the wrong people in charge. And this is what's playing out already again. So we can all argue about the levels and the toxicity and what it really means and what it means for others. But the moment that we just go, it's going to get better, we just need to give it time, and we sit on our hands and don't say or express ourselves, is probably the moment where Rangers is chucked it and will accept what we have. There's no way that Rangers Football Club should ever accept the start we have. So it's interesting. We go into Thursday night against Sturm Graz, lads, and the reality is we probably expect a performance like Genk, and that's why the levels of toxicity are there, and that's why the fans feel the way they do. The only way that he's going to start getting any sort of leeway is to put results and performances together, which means that 20 minutes of being slightly better needs to turn into 90 minutes of being slightly better and build on it even more, individuals included. We go to Sturm Graz on Thursday, and every single one of us will probably expect us to give up a dozen chances and to play the way we did last Thursday against Genk. And that's why we're here. And that's the bottom line of why we're here. The levels of it, people will be uncomfortable and people might say it's not right, and people will say, it shouldn't happen. We had to wait for a 95th minute winner against a team that finished second in the first division. That shouldn't be lost either. So I get it. I understand it. I'm not overly comfortable with it. And with some things that I've seen online and some things other where maybe I'm a bit of a snowflake, I don't mind that. Or maybe I'm an old guy that just has never seen this at his football club anymore. But it's certainly a difficult conversation to have, because there's people so entrenched now that will be like, fuck Russell Martin, let's do everything we possibly can to get him out and more. And there'll be others who think this isn't the Rangers way. We shouldn't be like this and we shouldn't do that. And it's very seldom a meeting point of in between in Rangers, for me anyway, Davie, throughout the years. It's either you're on one side or you're on the other. It's either Barry Ferguson or Paul Le Guen and everything like that, and there's nothing in between. You know what I mean, though? It's always one side or the other, and I think we're here again.
Yeah. It's not the first time I've seen a Rangers manager or somebody at Rangers being incredibly unpopular. Don't get me wrong. I just feel as if this time it's went way beyond anything I've seen before in terms of just how vitriolic it is. Now, I get why it's so vitriolic. And unfortunately, I tend to agree with you that come Thursday night at the final whistle, we're going to go around this merry-go-round again, because I'm not confident whatsoever of us getting a result over in Austria. I think I was saying to you guys, I think it was yesterday, that that was 22 games in a row yesterday. Rangers conceded a goal away from Ibrox. We haven't kept a clean sheet away from Ibrox since last December. So I'm not expecting us to keep a clean sheet in Austria. So we'll just go around this merry-go-round again. That's the thing. And we'll keep going round it until the inevitable decision is made. And I can't help but think the sooner that decision is made, then maybe we can start thinking about the team on the park and improving instead of just thinking about sacking a guy all the time.
Yeah. It's difficult to feel otherwise, Kenny, heading into Thursday night. We'll obviously preview it a bit more on Wednesday. But it is a merry-go-round until Russell Martin stops it and creates something else.
Mate, this is done. That's the problem that the Rangers board has. This is done. And when you see that kind of scenario unfolding, if that doesn't tell you as an owner or as a CEO or whoever that you are pissing into the wind here with this, yeah. All you're doing is prolonging the agony for everybody, and that it's a sad situation because it's not worked. And there's you two guys will be exactly the same as me. I want to see Rangers win every fucking game. It's all I want. It's all everybody wants. We want to win games of football. We want to be successful. We want big, shiny silver things at the end of the season to sit there and celebrate. We want to laud our players and our manager, but we aren't, and we aren't going to, because they were warned before in the summer. This is not the guy that's going to change this. He's the way he plays his football, the style of football, the brand of football, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to work up here. And again, this is what I'm saying. They are telling us for the past 4 months, 5 months now that they know better than us. And this is why you're seeing this, Stevie. It's done. And I hate being that guy that's, well, no. And when you get to this point, I've got a sympathy for Russell Martin, as I say, on a human level, because it's not pleasant for him and his family. I don't have any sympathy for him in terms of being the Rangers head coach. None whatsoever. This is your own doing. This is your mess. Fix it. He's not going to fix it. We know this. It's the board that I would aim my ire at, to be honest with you, because they are basically, as I've said before, they're looking down from their ivory tower saying, "You're peasants and shut up. We know better." And I don't like it. And that's what I don't like about this scenario. And it's why it's happening, in my opinion. The guy's not up to being the Rangers manager. We've said it already. This guy has managed to fail upwards time and time again. How he's ended up at Rangers, having got Southampton to the bottom of the league, quite possibly the worst ever Premier League manager in history, and managed to get our job, is utterly beyond me. And I mean that in no personal way. As a head coach, he does not merit this job, and this is where we're at, where we've got a board that's now turning around and saying, "We'll just keep digging this hole, and we'll dig and dig and dig, and we're not listening to you." And that's why this is happening, Stevie.
Kevin Muscat is on course to win another league in China, and that ends at the end of towards the end of November. Interesting. Folks, thanks for joining us. Tried to tackle a few of the subjects that people have asked about in the comments and asked us to talk about, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to all our members that joined in. If you want to become a member of Four Lads, you can. You can scan that little barcode in the corner, and that will give you a link, or you can just simply click on the link in the description, and that will help you. You can experience all the pods ad-free, and also you can get loads of member shows which we do for free. Davey done a first and favourites the other night. One of our members, Reese Livingston, that's your show. It's your chance to come on. And we're also looking for members to come on and record their own show. Your chance to say your own thing about Russell Martin and about Rangers and about the players and everything. Get together with other aspiring members that want to come on and pod and talk about Rangers. A kind of open forum, if you think. I can't claim credit for this one because this is Kenny's kind of brainchild, so also means if it goes wrong we can blame Kenny, but that's all there for members too. So if you want to join Four Lads and become a member, 600 strong at the moment, we really appreciate all the support on the podcast. If you want to do that, please do so. Huge thank you to our guests Davey and Kenny. Davey, thank you, mate, much appreciated.
My pleasure. It was an interesting Monday considering we won yesterday. God knows what this pod would have been like if Livingston had scored in the 93rd minute instead of Rangers. But yeah, onwards and upwards. Can't wait until Thursday night, then we'll see where it goes from there.
You almost sounded believable when you said you can't wait till Thursday night, Davey. Kenny, thank you, mate. As ever, we tried to tackle some of the bigger subjects. Recruitment, people have talked about it and asked. The fans, people have asked us to discuss it. End of the day, everybody just wants Rangers to win. It would make it a hell of a lot easier if they go to Austria on Thursday night. We'll be back on Wednesday with Chris to talk about Rangers. Thanks for coming on tonight, mate. As ever, much appreciated.
No, thank you. And apologies for the rant to everybody. I just feel really passionate about this. And I just feel that this isn't going to change. But Lyndon B, I don't know if you noticed earlier on, Lyndon B put a message up and he said, Kenny, you were born 100 years ago. For fuck's sake. Be nice to old people, mate. That's no need for that. Just be nice. Respect your elders and stuff. But no, I actually really enjoyed that, and it is quite a situation we find ourselves in, isn't it? It's just mad.
I thought 100 years for you was respectful, mate, because you're certainly a lot older. But anyway, thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Cloudview Fire Evacuation and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you to all our members. If you aren't a member but would like to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. We are heading fast towards 11,000 subs. It's just incredible, the rate of growth and all the support. As I said, if you fancy coming on Four Lads and are a member of the show, get in contact. It's fourladsadthedream@gmail.com. 4 is spelt 4, not the number. And if I've given you fourladsadthedream@gmail.com with 4 in it, that's probably my fault. Spell 4, not the letter. So yeah, not the number rather. So yeah, apologies about that. Get in contact with us. We'd love to have you on. Thanks everybody for joining us. Like and subscribe if you can. That would be a huge help. We'll be back on Wednesday at 7 o'clock as usual as we build up to Austria and Graz and Rangers Rangers just with another game. I'm not sure what we'll say about Thursday. We'll get to that and we'll worry about that when it happens. Thanks everybody. Take care. Thanks for joining.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.